Get into geek. We are talking movies. They're going to say the biggest movie, well, towards the end of the year. I can't remember everything else that's come out this year so far, but it's definitely the most anticipated one, I'm going to say, of 2021. My name is Mitch. Joining me, Matty Gibson. What's up?
Hello, hello.
And surprise, surprise, we are talking, because you've seen the title of the episode. It's no surprise. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Is there a new Spider-Man movie out, Mitchell?
Who would have thought?
I was unaware.
I feel like we've been dissecting a movie that no one's seen for the past 14 months. We're not going to be dissecting it in all of its glory. If you did see the title of this podcast, this is a non-spoiler, and I'm not going to be upset if you're not even wanting to listen to this one. If you are listening to it, that comment is redundant, but if you are a little bit hesitant and you're listening so far, don't be. We will make this a short podcast, I'm sure, because I don't know that you can even say you loved this movie without that kind of being a spoiler, because people in their own heads are assessing someone else's enjoyment level, not even a reaction or a tweet or content, by way of their own filter, and assuming that they then know what that means and it's therefore deemed a spoiler.
Yeah, this is for everyone who still has their tinfoil hat on firmly until they actually walk into the cinema and sit down and then take it off. Just to make sure that they don't get spoilt for anything.
And welcome along to the other people, though, that are even bigger tinfoil hat wearers and are like, I'm not even going to listen to a non-spoilers podcast review until after I've definitely seen the film.
Those are my kind of people.
Oh, they're the best, because, you know, I do that. It got to, I mean, we were lucky. We were very lucky, Maddie and I. It's opening day. We're recording this on the Thursday, 16th of December, opening day here in Australia. We got to see this 2 days ago, Tuesday the 14th. I can't believe how lucky we were to see this. Not only did we see this, Maddie, we presented the film, the Queensland premiere, I'm going to call it. We presented it, and I just kept waiting for the last 2 months after I found out that we were getting this on the 14th for it to be taken away from us. And I didn't want that to happen because through Sony as well, they've also obviously done Venom recently. We in Australia had to wait nearly 2 months to see Venom.
That's right.
After the US. It opened up, I think, on the last day of September or the first day of October. We got it here on the 25th of November. I mean, you and I got to see it a month early, but oh, we laugh. But I didn't want even a day to go past release date of not being able to see this film. So we're certainly not going to make people who have to wait. And there's members of our very team, Get Into Geek here. We're in a message chat with Dane McGurk, right? We're recording this 6 hours, I know, before he gets to go and watch this film. So
oh yeah, that's right. He even gave us his session time.
Yeah, he could listen to this before he goes and watches the movie.
He totally could.
That would be a great test. Maybe we should tell him. He won't do it. He actually won't do it.
No way, no way.
I mean, he did say in our text chain, he's like, please tell me what happens. Don't do it. No, tell me. Please don't do it. I'm like, he's in absolutely two minds about it. Because
I did have a mate who's posted over in Egypt at the moment, so he's not going to have a chance to watch the movie for a couple of months. And he's just like, just tell me. Just tell me.
Oh, yeah. I wonder whether
I need to know.
It would be better coming from you, right? And I will say this because it is Thursday, and, you know, this is a non-spoiler review of Spider-Man, and I'm not going to break that, even though I just prefaced it with that warning, but somewhat of even a non-spoiler of Hawkeye Episode 5, which aired last night as time of us recording on Wednesday the 15th. You know, that comes out around 5 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, Brisbane time, where we are, local time. I didn't get to watch it until
6 p.m. Trust me, I was waiting.
6. There you go. So you're bang on. I got to watch it at about 10. At about 9:45, I went to the bathroom. Open up my phone. Okay, I'm a pig, but whatever. I did it. And
we all do it.
It was on Twitter, and I actually went to post something about Spider-Man. And then I'm like, hang on, no, I already did that last night. I was going to post a picture of the premiere, and I'm like, don't do that. Went back to the timeline, and it refreshed. And
dangerous. You live in dangerous times.
Up popped one of our lovely listeners, Damo. I'm sure Damo Edwards. I'm going to name him. Not even a name and shame, because it's not your fault, Damo. But I follow you. You've been a great fan of Get Into Gate and Get Into Geek for many years, and you're on my timeline, and you go, "Oh my God, Hawkeye! That ending! Oh my God!" And so I went, "Okay, swipe out of the app." But as my thumb was swiping up my phone to get rid of the app off my screen, my eyes deceived me, Matthew. And I looked down to a picture that Damo had attached to that tweet, and I saw something, which then partnering it up with, oh my God, the end of this episode, this show is amazing. It's, we've heard for weeks episode 5 of Hawkeye was going to break the internet. Little did we know we were going to, well, we did know at that stage, but we were going to get to see Spider-Man No Way Home 24 hours before that. And it's like, it's hard to see anything breaking the internet.
It's a big call. It's a big call. Like for Hawkeye to go, look, this episode is going to drop the same week as Spider-Man No Way Home, and we're claiming we're going to break the internet.
Yeah.
That's a big call.
And you know what? For most of the world, they probably did break the internet a little bit, only for Spider-Man No Way Home to then rebuild the internet to break it again into several more million pieces.
Yeah.
So we're not going to do that. The long and short of what I just said is that we're not going to ruin anything. So this podcast has already been going for over 5 minutes now, and that's basically just us telling you that we're not going to ruin it, and we're only going to talk about it for a couple of minutes.
And also that if you're
so.
someone who's skipping Hawkeye, but you're going to go and see Spider-Man, you probably should get on board Hawkeye.
I think so. Yeah, and once you see one. Either one, because we saw them out of order. One or the other, or both. You might understand why, and that's not even spoil. You don't you dare now, non-spoiler listener, going, well, you've just spoiled it. We're being so vague.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine, Professor X is in both. Okay, there. I ruined it for both of you.
And he can walk.
Yeah, I mean, blew my mind. That's what broke the internet. He broke his wheelchair first. Okay, so Spider-Man, we were just talking off air, and I'm like, why aren't we we're recording this? Because it's the first time we've actually caught up properly in person since we saw Spider-Man, and you and I did agree that, while I will say, obviously, get out and watch this film, and in the strange times, unprecedented times that we live in the safest way possible, get out and see this, obviously as early as you can, but in the safest way you can, with as big of a crowd as you can.
Yeah.
Considering those other two warnings I just said, because this honestly is one of the great cinematic viewing experiences I think I've ever had, and it goes beyond what was up on the movie. Like the crowd interaction, you and I sat next to each other, the other side of you was my brother, us three, we were in a crowd of over 350 people. It may as well have just been us three, because I think we were leading the charge through a lot of it. We were
I
very
think there
loud.
was someone on one of Lincoln's social posts, and it was just like when he did a post about the movie, and someone was like, yeah, we could hear you up behind us.
And I know that guy, and I know where he was sitting, and he wasn't right in front of us. So I feel sorry for everyone. But you know what? I feel like sometimes, when you do that, you're giving the rest of the crowd the permission to do so. And I've been a follower, and the other night, at times I was a follower, at times I think I was a leader in the cheers, and I was happy to do so because
look, if you're one of those people who went and saw Endgame and were in a viewing where no one cheered when Cap lifted Mjolnir. I feel really bad for you.
Yeah.
So I think it would be the same thing in this film. It's like there's so many great moments in this that it's like you need that crowd atmosphere. And also because we've been having to watch so many movies at home the last few years. So I think that was the extra thing as well, to have such a big film with a big crowd who were really into it as well. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you're right. You need that moment too. We went to a premiere of Spider-Man the other night. It was a great crowd. Obviously, there was members of the public coming along, but I work for a radio station. We were attached, obviously, to the premiere, and some people that come along to those things, well, they're just coming because they're winning free prizes. Yeah, they're just coming because it's a free movie. Like, they want to come to an event. I'm pretty sure when we did June a couple of weeks ago, I'm pretty sure a couple of people walked out in the middle of that because I saw people go for what I thought was a toilet break.
Yes,
and did not come back.
Never came back. Yeah, and it's like that movie is an event in itself. It's a very different film to Spider-Man No Way Home, obviously, but it's like those people, it's either how do you want to come to Dune and then walk out of that? Because I've never read the book, but I don't think it's a bad adaptation of the book. It's an enjoyable movie, so you're only going there and walking out if you were just going there because you want a free ticket to a free movie. The other night, though, while people that were there definitely wanted to be there, when we went to Endgame, we went to the first session of opening day. There was no premiere, I don't think.
Oh, there was no freebies for that
one. They weren't doing that. So we went
Disney were like, oh, you're paying for every single seat.
And when I say we went to the first session, we didn't go to the midnight session because I figured we were just old at that point. We went to like the 10 a.m. session. But again, those people that go opening day first session, those are people that want to be there. And to experience that with that crowd, that was incredible. Yeah. And same with the other night. So, and that's not for any particular moment either. There were so many. I'm going to say, even though Endgame, you think of that, Endgame, it's all in the title. That feels like it should have been the biggest movie to get the biggest audience interaction. I feel like it was all saved for the end in a way. Like you sort of didn't know where the journey was going to get to. Where the journey was. You just knew what the end game was, some big fight, and obviously everyone's going to sort of get together and maybe team up or something. And that's why everyone got so excited. Whereas with Spider-Man No Way Home, there are moments throughout the entire film that had everyone screaming, cheering, crying, laughing. Like it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first hour of Endgame was kind of a downer.
Yeah, it's like, remember being
oh.
upset 12 months ago? Oh, we're going to make you do that again, just for a little bit. Instead of 5 minutes of recap, it's an hour more of depressing setup.
Yeah. Whereas No Way Home was very much, it was a roller coaster. I mean, it's a cliche to say it's a roller coaster, but it was so much ups and downs and exciting moments and really tense moments and then really sad moments. Like, I definitely teared up in a couple of moments. I was laughing. The shock value of a couple of moments as well. It was so interesting to be like, and there was real jeopardy, more jeopardy than I felt in Endgame.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, this could be the last time we see this character. So it was really like, oh shit, what's happening right now? Like, it was really suspenseful and just like, you and I and Link just grabbing each other, just being like, oh my God, what's happening? It was so good. So good.
Yeah, and with that, go get out and obviously you're listening to this. You're listening to two idiots talking about a movie. You're going to see it. Yeah. Like, you're not finding
the two of us talking about the latest Spider-Man movie, both in our Marvel t-shirts as we sit here. You in Captain America, me in Phoenix, sitting here talking about Spider. I wore a Spider-Man shirt to the premiere.
Yeah.
I was that guy.
Yeah, I should have been that guy. I don't have a Spider-Man t-shirt. I wish I did.
I had 4 to choose from.
And I left my Captain America shirt at home, so I'm like, that's right, I'll wear it for the review. So yeah, it's good. Like, aside from the experience of it, it is a very good movie. And what I said to you last week, we were just hanging out together like over a week before the premiere, and I said, look, I'm excited for it. I'm also nervous. I think that's fine as a fan. It's almost probably the best place you can be. Don't go in expecting everything.
It's the third Spider-Man movie curse. Like, you get the Maguire third Spider-Man movie. Poor old mate Garfield didn't even get a third Spider-Man movie. So it's like, this is the first time, that it's like, okay, well, in a long time, okay, we've got a third Spider-Man film. Please don't suck. Please don't be, Topher Grace's Venom. Like,
yeah, oh my God, yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty low bar. So it's like, it was always going to be better than that. But in the same way, Maguire's Spider-Man 3 got a lot of flack for too many villains and too much stuff going on. It's like, well,
this movie didn't have that worry.
They were like, well, okay, so not only are we going to give you, Holland, we're going to give you Doctor Strange, we're going to give you a bunch of villains from not just our films, but previous universes' films. And we're going to give you that all in the trailer.
Yeah.
We're going to give you all of that in the trailers. So you know that those things are coming, and we're still going to surprise you.
Yeah.
With other things in the movie. It's like, and they did it. Like, at no point did I feel like this movie is too long.
No.
Because it's, 2.5 hours or something.
I think it might even be over that. Somewhere between 2:30 2:40, I think.
Yeah. And at no point did I feel, oh, this is dragging, it's too long. At no point did I be like, oh, they've jumped the shark. At no point did it feel like clogged and jumbled and like they weren't really rushing through anything. Like, I feel like there was plenty of character development given that there were so many characters. I mean, obviously returning someone like Doc Ock, it's like, okay, well, a lot of that, I'm hoping that's not a spoiler. I'm hoping anyone who's watched this has seen the trailers.
Anyone listening to this has seen a trailer,
So, like, obviously a lot of that legwork has already been done. But it's like, it's been legitimately, like, nearly 20 years since we've seen Doc Ock. So it was good to be like, oh, okay, well, I don't feel like I needed to go back and watch Spider-Man 2 to get Doc Ock's story again to feel caught up.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, oh, yeah, Doc Ock. I remember enough about Doc Ock that I can enjoy this movie. And they did that with all of the villains that they brought in, which was really great.
Yeah, you just summed up exactly like how I was feeling. That I said to you, the words were, it's promise, and I tweeted this. For anyone who's following me, I apologize for repeating myself, but I said to you, it's promising so much. The speculation, the rumors around it are quote unquote promising even more. And just, like you said, the stuff that is in it, it's like, oh my God, Sony, like, whenever Sony, like, because they're not Marvel. Okay, they're Marvel adjacent, and Kevin Feige kind of oversees, we don't really know the makeup, but it's like, Marvel approve of stuff, and they might sort of push them in a direction, but it's still Sony's film. Like, they might have to play in the Marvel sandbox a little bit, but they can kind of do whatever they want, I guess, because it's their character and their world. I get nervous when I hear them going to do stuff. And even this film, when they're like, I think the first time we even heard, I think it was about 12 months ago, when Jamie Foxx was either announced or rumored, and then he immediately posted something and basically confirming it. He's not posting to his own Instagram a picture of him as Electro and we're like, oh, what? There's a rumor out there? Oh no, this is me having fun. And when I first saw that, I'm like, hang on. So is he? Oh, obviously they're just bringing back the same actor to play a different version of the same character. I guess that works because multiverse, like, okay, well, all the Spider-Man actors look different, but that doesn't mean that all the other... Oh, what are they doing? Sony, you're making me nervous. Is this some kind of weird multiverse thing? I get that Spider-Verse worked and was great, but live action straight after that, you're making me nervous. And then bringing in Doctor Strange, and it's like, well, now you're potentially messing with someone else's toy. It's one thing to play in your own sandbox, but if you're borrowing your bigger brother's toy and going, we're going to mold him how we broke his arm. Well, now you can have him back, have fun with it. You're making me nervous, man. And I just thought, I said to you, there's no way that it can work. Like, I'm almost confident in saying there's no way that it can work, and I'm fine with that because it shouldn't work. The only thing it needs to do is not be terrible. Yeah. Just don't be shit.
Just don't be as bad as Maguire's Spider-Man 3, and we'll be happy.
Yeah.
Like, we had such a low bar for it in that regard. It's just like, we were guarding ourselves. We were like, we don't want to be hurt again.
No.
We don't know what's going on. And, I mean, there was a lot of mixed reviews about Venom, which was obviously Sony's last, Spider-Man-esque, adventure, which, I mean, I've enjoyed both of the Venom films. They're not amazing. And I haven't rushed out and bought them on DVD or anything like that. And that's, to me, that's always the litmus test of if I really like something is, am I going to go out and buy the DVD and add it to my library? So yeah, we were nervous. It was like, oh god, can this work with this many characters? And it did.
And I wonder whether it works too, because you just saying, I didn't feel the need to go back and watch Spider-Man 2 because, Doc, I'm familiar enough and there's all that character development set up there. I don't need to try to... I also have that issue. Well, I mean, one, we didn't even know whether it was the same Doc Ock. Sure, it's Alfred Molina, but it could be a different version. Well, it doesn't have to be Maguire's Doc Ock. It can be the same actor, like what I thought Electro was going to be.
Well, and at the end of Far From Home, they kind of confirmed we've got J. Jonah Jameson, played by
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, that's it. Somebody else is going to F. Murray Abraham, and I'm like, no, that's not right. But he's obviously not the J. Jonah we know from the other films. Yeah. Like, he's not from the Maguire films. He wasn't in the Garfield films, was he?
They didn't have I think they had a shot of the bugle at some point, but we had nothing to do with J. Jonah,
So that was kind of already there. It's like, okay, so it's the same actor playing the same role, but has really nothing to do with the J. Jonah Jameson we knew for those 3 movies back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So it's like, it could be the same thing. This could just be the MCU's Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Who happens to be played by Molina. So it's like, we didn't know going in. We were just like, oh.
And obviously the simplest way to go about that to go, well, that Molina, that is the Doc Ock from Maguire's films. And, this Electro, well, that is Electro from the Andrew Garfield films. Because otherwise, if you go in and go, hey, it's the same actor playing the same character, but he's from a different... Not only are we introducing you to a multiverse, we're reintroducing characters, but they're not. It's actually an introduction, not a reintroduction, because it's like, okay, ambitious, please calm the hell down. I just thought, as long as it's not terrible, if it's meh, then it's better than terrible. That means it's a pass mark. And look, again, we could be riding off a high the other night, because the other night was amazing, just for us 3 sitting there, our extended friends that were there, a great crowd, just the buzz around it, the fact that we get to see it hours after the world premiere, 2 days before the rest of the world starts getting it. And even halfway through the film, and there was stuff that was seen in the trailer, some Doctor Strange and Spider-Man stuff that was going on in the movie, where I was like, this is cool. I just can't wait until tonight is over, because I just need to get through the, not even anticipation, but the kind of the anxiety of watching this for the first time, of whether or not it's going to live up to everything that was definitely promised and then was also rumored about and speculated about online. And I just need to get to my second viewing, know what's there, and then just appreciate it. But despite all of that, we walked out the other night, we just turned to each other and we're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
That was incredible.
I'll need to see it another 3 times to actually digest and absorb what I saw the first time.
Yeah.
And also listen to the bits that I missed from, like, that I didn't hear in the film because of crowd reactions.
Yeah. There were moments like that where I'm like, there was something about to happen, whether or not, you could see it happening, or we were involved in the laughter, but I'd shut up really quickly because I'm like, I know that person's going to react to that line and I want to hear that. And some I missed, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm glad I got to live through that laughter with the crowd.
Yeah.
Other moments I was like, I really wish I would have heard what they would have said. But that's what I love about rewatching movies and rediscovering. It's like, oh, I didn't hear that reaction because I was too busy, but now I'm watching it at home in my lounge room. And, and here we are. Like, we will confidently say, without spoiling anything, there are things that were rumored about that do not come true in this film. At all. There are other things that were rumored that do come true. And both of those things still make for an enjoyable experience because something that didn't happen, I'm like, it worked that didn't happen. But
at no point was I disappointed in this movie going, one of those things that I thought might happen didn't happen. At no point was I disappointed that it didn't.
It fit.
Yeah. Everything fit. It was so big too. Like if you go back to Homecoming, it was very much Tony telling Peter that it's like, be the local, neighborhood Spider-Man, just chill things out. This movie was huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like the best part for me is the music really reflected it. I found the score
it was great.
Was like, oh, you liked the Endgame score, did you? We're going to make something sound even more epic and just gargantuan. That it really added the gravitas to when it was those really high impact sort of action moments. You were like, oh shit.
And do you remember that Simpsons, this is a weird reference, so I'll get around it, that Simpsons episode where Marge goes and buys is it a green dress? And she wears it to a lunch with the ladies. Pink dress, right? She goes
Chanel dress, the pink with the black.
And she found it for really cheap, not even that cheap, but cheaper than she thought. Bought it, right? Goes and wears it to a lunch with these ladies, right?
Society ladies.
Yeah, at the club. And then she goes out with them again. She wears the same dress because it's the only good dress that she has. And then they make comment like, "Oh, that's so cute, you're wearing that." And so she keeps trying to find ways of repurposing the same dress, so it looks like she's got all these different clothes, and it worked. I don't know why that was the first thing that popped in my head, and I apologize, but it did, because what I was going to say is the score, just that even classic, that dun dun dun, whether it's the dun 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 dun, does whatever a spider, or even just whatever the main motif of this Spider-Man score is, they reused that in so many different ways in this score, in this film alone. And some of it was happy, some of it was sad, some of it was anthemic, it's a bit cheeky. Other ones, they're doing some science stuff, and they put almost a bit of an 80s sort of synth to it or something. Like there was some really bum 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 bum. That's that score, that tune. They just did so many different things with it throughout this. It was like the composer was like, "No, I love what I've done so far. I'll just retweak that, make it sad, make it happy." And it worked. And maybe it worked more because it was a score that you were familiar with. And it's like, hey, hear this. It means Spider-Man. Now Spider-Man is sad. Yeah. Now he's happy.
Yeah.
Now he's doing science stuff. Now he's doing something amazing. I don't know. It worked. And like you said, the fact that it was Homecoming, we've still got the same director, John Watts.
I was going to ask you that.
Did Homecoming, did Far From Home, did this. And very soon... I don't know whether he was after he was announced to do this. I think it was. He was also announced to be the guy that's going to direct the Fantastic Four. Whenever they do that, we don't know. Ooh. Marvel have said that's obviously happening. They've even released a logo for it 2 Comic-Cons ago or something. John Watts, this guy, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be not a big step up like Spider-Man's a small character, but just it's about one character in a big world. All of a sudden, you're going to introduce 4 really unique looking, powered, incredible characters that face off against other weirdly characters.
And not an ounce of teen angst in the Fantastic Four.
You're going to go from teen angst into a family dynamic, and that's what people really love about the Fantastic Four. How are you possibly going to nail that? How are you going to have the Incredibles and then yet do it good as well? Because the Incredibles is the best Fantastic Four movie that's ever been made. And then I watched this, and I'm like, no, the way that he was able to incorporate so much, like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man even, or bringing actors who have played villains back into this role and still make all of that work. Yeah.
And still make sure that none of our existing characters fell by the wayside. There was still plenty of Ned, plenty of MJ, plenty of May, plenty of Happy. None of those characters got left behind.
I'm going to say, it's almost like their screen time, well, for some of them it definitely increases. I'm trying to compare MJ especially. Obviously, and I was watching a clip of her the other day, Zendaya, and she said her favourite of the 3 is kind of Homecoming, even though she doesn't appear a lot in it, because she likes seeing them as kids, and it's a baby Peter, and it's little Peter, and it's little Peter in a big pond sort of thing. She by far had less to do in that. Probably more in this than she did in Far From Home, where it was increased as well, but not a lot. It's not like she all of a sudden has the sort of screen time that, say, Kirsten Dunst's MJ had in the Maguire films, right?
Yeah, by no means.
And still, what the sort of like the quality rather than the quantity. So the stuff that she had to do in her more but still limited screen time was so good. And Marissa Tomei,
it wasn't just quippy, sarcastic
No.
comments. Because she was involved this time. She knows who Peter is now.
Yep.
You know, she's part, like, there's this little trio. So, yeah, it wasn't just her on the sidelines just being a sarcastic bitch all the time. Which is great, which I can see why she loved Homecoming so much.
Yeah.
She had so many great one-liners in that, just being a sarcastic bitch.
Yeah.
So.
But you're right. Like, I think even Happy had more to do and more range. But Aunt May, especially, like Marissa Tomei, obviously because of the way that Far From Home ended, it's like, well, on a personal level, Peter's going to need someone. Obviously, he's got MJ, but he's got his Aunt May. She's Aunt May, for God's sake. So yeah, all their screen time doesn't get like exponentially increased, but they certainly have more to do than they have in the last two films. It's just
but you don't feel like they're missing for all the villains that we're introduced to. You don't feel like they got left by the wayside or anything was sacrificed. There's a really nice balance of all those, which then, ties into what you're saying about the Fantastic Four. It's like Spider-Man is about a guy on his own trying to keep his identity secret from the world. Fantastic Four is a family dynamic. Everyone knows who they are. Like, it couldn't be two more different, that's correct English, superhero archetypes.
Yeah.
So but from seeing this movie, I'm like, okay, I'm really excited to see this guy. What was his name? The director?
John Watts.
I'm really excited to see what he can do with this theoretical Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And shouldn't have any worries about him handling more characters and all that sort of stuff. And just what you're saying, the fact that all the villains and stuff. Spider-Man 3 is remembered for being, that's right, the too many villains problem. You know, because what do they have? 3. Never at really the one time, but still 3 throughout one film, because we'd had Green Goblin and only Green Goblin. And then only Doc Ock. And then all of a sudden it's like, let's have 3. And it's like, why though?
Yeah, that's because you were trying to wrap up the whole Dave Franco thing from the first and second movie. So suddenly he's now, I guess he was Hobgoblin in that. I guess it was what they were trying to get
something,
to.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, then you had Venom, and then you had Sandman as well. It was like, that's a lot to try and squeeze into. I guess that was probably only, like a 90-minute movie or something like that.
Oh, it would have been more, but and it feels weird because they sort of separate. Like, you get about halfway through the film when you think Sandman has well, at least Spider-Man thinks Sandman has died, and then it becomes a Venom film, and then obviously Sandman sort of comes back into it. And then obviously Green Goblin, like, they sort of pepper you with Green Goblin at the start, then he comes back at the end, but then he kind of is a friend, and it's all weird. But that really set up not even a bad precedent, but it was just like, it was a dirty word, too many villains. And then when you got it's probably, well, I'm going to say a franchise you don't like, but like the Batman films, and there were multiple villains in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, but really it's like, okay, well, Scarecrow or Ra's, but not really. Like, that movie's looked at afterwards as there were no villains, it was just about Batman. Dark Knight, definitely Joker, but it's like, well, Two-Face is kind of in there, and then there's kind of the mob, and then there's this and blah blah blah, and Scarecrow's in it. Third one, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you're definitely going to have Bane, and then you're definitely going to have this, and then Catwoman's going to feature, and people are like, oh, you're not going to Spider-Man 3 this, are you? And every other time this pops up, you're not going to Spider-Man 3 this, are you? And it's like a Phantom Menace. You're not going to Jar Jar this. You're not going to have a shitty character. This should kill off the argument of too many villains does not work, because in this film, sure, this has got to be the most amount of villains we've ever had in a superhero single film, right? Like, I know, okay, I get it, Endgame or Infinity War, like you've got Thanos and then, a bunch of, his Black Order and then his horde of minions and stuff.
Yeah,
but
I mean, this is villains who have all had their own standalone films in the past.
They have faces, they have characters, they're not just like disposable armies. And I mean, yeah, not spoiling it, but it's like that they're not one-dimensional, like, hey, here's a bad guy for him to punch.
It doesn't feel like there's just a bunch of action figures that are being smashed together like a 3-year-old kid, just like smash it. They all have arcs, interesting storylines. There's a reason that they're all there. It doesn't just feel like fans, even though there are some fan servicey moments.
Yeah.
It's in a really good way. It doesn't feel like, oh, they're just doing this just for me to go, hey, I remember that. I don't. No, it was like, oh my God, I can't believe they referenced that.
Yeah, and like the pitch behind it might be, it's absolutely a matter of convenience. It's a matter of, hey, what if this, that would be cool. Like, here's the room. It's not the how come room. Like it's the what would be cool room. It's like, let's bring back the other bad guys, right? Yeah, okay, let's do that. And it is a matter of convenience. But then they go, well, hang on, how are we going to make this worth it? Right? We've also got to wrap up. Of course, they're going to make more Spider-Man films. Like, it's Spider-Man for Christ's sake. And they did make an announcement a few weeks ago. Yeah, we're going to make another trilogy or whatever, but like they still have to wrap up whatever they've done so far. They've also got to make an individual film that will stand by itself. And okay, it does follow on from a big cliffhanger last time.
But we also know as an audience, given that Doctor Strange is here, they also need to hand off to Multiverse of Madness at some point as well.
Yeah.
So it's like there was a lot of plates in the air trying to juggle.
Yeah.
And I think
they did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, I want to talk about much more, and we are going to do a full spoilers review. We used to do them here. We do a little non-spoilers chat and crack straight into a spoilers, and I'm like, that's a bad idea for this film. We need to separate these. Obviously, we just want the numbers and the clicks, mate. No, but it's like, we don't want someone to accidentally walk away and come back and we're like, what about when this happened? So we are going to chat now. Well, geez, we've been talking for about half an hour now. No one's going to look at this as non-spoilers and go, you spoke about that for half an hour and you didn't say anything of substance. You're full of shit. What I think we have done is say the same thing in many different ways over and over again. But it's everything we've said is valid. It promises a lot. I'm not saying that if you think that this is too many cooks in the kitchen, there's too many bad guys, there's too many characters, there's too many different plot lines and threads, blah, 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 to work, that you're definitely wrong and that we're definitely right saying everything works. I'm just saying, hey, if you're feeling like maybe you're nervous, it's fine. Go in and watch it.
If you go in thinking, oh, this is never going to work, this is going to be horrible, and you sit and criticize every time a villain shows up, well, there's nothing we can do for you. But all we're saying is we were cautious going in, we're like, oh, this is a lot of, but it worked. At no point did I feel like, oh god, just get rid of these people, they're in the way. Like, it was such an enjoyable ride the whole way through.
On that, definitely toilet before, because while you said before there's so much in this and it just moves, it's 2:30, 2:40 runtime. I don't know that I could pick out and there are definitely moments that are a lot slower. And when I say slow, I just mean not fast-paced action,
just
cool Spider-Man stuff, just quiet character moments that are silent moments. There's almost narration over slow-mo shots of someone's face, like I still wouldn't go to the bathroom then.
No, there was at no point that I would have felt comfortable to leave the room.
No, at all. And we joked after, there is a moment, we can go into it in our full spoilers chat, where like there's a big scene that happens and you're like, whew, got to catch my breath, a lot of action. Oh, look, this looks like a nice quiet scene between a couple of characters. I'll quickly go to the bathroom. That's a moment that you definitely don't want to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, well, and we always use the reference of, we always make fun of Lincoln when we went and saw Rogue One, and he thought, oh, I've got a quiet moment here with a couple of generals talking, whatever, this is a fine time for me to go to the toilet. First appearance of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
The entire first Darth Vader
dude,
scene.
He was on his volcano planet. He was in his castle. He was in his tank. We kind of saw him outside of and then he like strangled it. Lincoln's like, what? I'm like, how long did you piss for?
Yeah, he's like, what did I miss? And we're like, oh, nothing, just Darth Vader. He's like, what?
The only character that I had previous knowledge of before this film. What are you talking about? So, yes, go see it. Go enjoy it.
Wear a catheter.
Yeah, absolutely. Do anything. Or bring in a
nice... nervous bladder.
I was sitting next to Matty, and more times than I care to admit, I'm like, is he going to notice if I try and piss in this Coke bottle? Because I needed to go to the bathroom for at least the back end 90 minutes of this movie. And there was no way was I walking out. And don't walk out during the credits. I know it's Marvel. No one that is listening to this is making this mistake. There are two. There is a mid-credit sequence.
Always.
There is a post-credits sequence that's longer than you would expect. This isn't Homecoming where Captain America comes and sits on a chair for 27 seconds. This is a do not go anywhere.
Nope.
Just walk in before the movie starts and don't leave until the lights are on and the ushers are cleaning. Only then, and maybe not even then you should trust Marvel, but only then.
That, if you want to live dangerously, that could be your toilet break moment, is between the first mid-credits scene and the end credits scene.
You've got time though. There's definitely time, but I also feel like, I mean, we're not spoiling it, it's a Marvel thing. Whatever happens in those credit sequences, that's almost when you want to be like turning to your friend and going, Whoa! Let's talk about that. You don't want to be going in there and holding yourself and urinating on a cinema toilet wall at some stage. You want to be in there experiencing this. So
Where do you go to the toilet?
I don't know. I want to say wall. I want to say urinal. I want to say. I was trying to think of that. Disgusting. I'm jealous of you. Maddie's jealous of you. That you guys that haven't seen this get to go and watch this for the first time. We will never get that experience again, and. You know, I still feel like it will be like Endgame is to me. I listen to the score of Endgame when I am driving. No way that I can watch anything. There's no dialogue. I still get goosebumps because I'm picturing what's happening in my head. And it still works. That movie is 2.5 years. Soon enough, it'll be 3 years old.
Yeah.
And that still works. And it still has that effect. I'm hoping this movie will do the same. Even if it doesn't, you guys have got a first watch ahead of you. Go watch it and enjoy the hell out of it. It's awesome. It's so much fun. And for people in our world, people that listen to this channel, that listen to podcasts about people talking about movies, that love this shit, you're in for a real treat. This is really cool.
So good. So enjoyable.
God damn it. Let's talk some spoilers. All right. In our follow-up episode, we will be talking full spoilers. I'm not going to lie. We're going to post it pretty quickly because I want it there available for people who want to hear other people talking about this movie, just as I did. Maddie and I spoke about it in the car park for like 45 minutes afterwards.
As is our standard.
As is our standard. The moment we left the cinema, we spoke to a bunch of other people on the way out, down the stairs, all the way out to our car. And might have even been longer. From the moment the movie finished to us getting in our car and leaving, it was probably an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And we had so many conversations with so many different people. We then were texting about it yesterday. Lincoln called me yesterday morning, and I don't know that he called me for anything, but we spoke about it for like 80, 90 minutes. And all these other channels that I listen to, because I do the Get Into Geek stuff, I can't listen to our stuff, and no one else in the team had seen it. So I was looking for other content to listen to, and no one else is seeing it around the world that's wanting to release spoilers chat. So I want to be releasing it for people that are seeing the film. But obviously, you know, hey, do the right thing, as we're saying about all facets of life at the moment. Don't listen to a spoiler chat before you go and watch this film. Maybe more so this movie than any other film.
I've had the most sympathy for Tom Holland. Now realizing how easy it has been for him over the years to spoil things.
Yeah.
Just holding on to, you know, all these secrets.
Man, they would have drugged him for this film. Like, they would have just made...
he's done really well.
He's been operating at like 65% his brain. Like, they've just had him just not cognitively here for the last probably 18 months because you just know maybe that's why he looks like he's bored of the role. It's because he's just not enjoying life because he's got Kevin Feige with a trained sniper on him 24/7 and holding his brothers hostage and stuff. Like, this poor kid, like, let him just get on with his life now and just be able to talk about anything freely until like another movie comes up and then he has to, you know, talk about it. So. Anyway, that'll be on our follow-up podcast, our full spoilers breakdown of Spider-Man No Way Home. It is, of course, out right now. If you are listening to us internationally, I know in the States it comes out Thursday night-ish your time, and then full open on Friday. Around the world, check your local guides, blah, 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 and check back for our full spoilers chat. Then, otherwise, Maddie, thank you for coming in early and recording this, and thank you for bringing in the McMuffins. It is breakfast that we're doing this, so Maddie's on the treats today. He was on the treats during the movie. Mate, I owe you. You brought me Maltesers during the film. You buy me Maccas now. So the point I'm trying to make is I need to take you to more Spider-Man movies because you buy me food.
I'm down for that.
That's the way to my heart.
If that's the way I need to do it, then that's fine.
Sign us up.
Get Into Geek.